Hello and welcome to December 21st, 2022. My name is Kurt and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is something that I do every morning a little bit after waking up. It's now 4:32 a.m. and I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles. That's 7 objectives and 33 principles that I use to govern my life. I call this the Good Life Creed, borrowing from the Stoics with the term the good life. This is a set of ideas that are outlined in my book, Going Alone, that I wrote to describe my experience of encountering the deep wilderness, the deep emptiness of the universe, so to speak. It's a very poetic, fanciful idea, but it's seemingly not real. Seemingly real? How do you describe nothing as real or not real? It's seemingly not there. And then what I did with that, what I did with the apprehension of a universe seemingly without governing agency, without God. And how does one create a life that's worthwhile, a life with purpose, a reason to get up every morning, guiding principles, a way to find our way to each other, to be social creatures, and to have something to deliver and deliver before our lives are done. That even if there is no absolute meaning in the universe other than perhaps simply staying alive, maybe find a way to be able to die in peace, live in peace as well, as difficult as that can be sometimes in this topsy-turvy place that we live. Oh, and good morning, Parker. Let's begin by first going over the last 24 hours. Then I'll recite the good life. And then I'll proceed to forecast the coming day and kind of map out where the trouble spots may be, the difficult bits, and how I might handle those. First, the last 24 hours. Let me get another drip. Not another drip, but another sip. First, last night, slept all right. It was an average night's sleep. Up a little bit, but it's up. I was up thinking philosophy rather than stressing about work. Well, I thought a little bit about work. I was trying to think about how to be more satisfied in whatever moment to use a wooey term, whatever moment of now I find myself in, rather than strategizing an escape. Sometimes I do that. To get away from the current stresses. Imagine a stressless somewhere. Stressless somewhere. It seemed to me that retreating to now might be worthwhile. Something that one might do. Maybe visualizing the way that I can live better in whatever moment I'm in, rather than dreaming of something new, imagining a better living now. I'd like to try that, and I think I can plug this attitude into the principle called nothing is enough, which is kind of an open door for this idea. It's funny, this principle hasn't had much play in the game of the Good Life Creed. It kind of sits there, second to the last. I mention it every time, and I hearken it to be a reminder towards simplicity. But I kind of know it's more than that. I wonder if this can be the more. An active visualization of better management of now. I'm going to give that a try. today. I've already been doing it since I woke up. I'd say the effects are so-so, but this is usually a low spot of the day for me, just before work. I'm not usually very pleased about the day ahead. And it's, even if I'm visualizing well, it's usually not going to come out as well as I'd hope. But maybe I can change that visualization as well. I can remember that I'm doing good. I have a life that pursues virtue, that does good things. I get to work with good people. And I'm still healthy. Kind of. I saw my doctor yesterday. We talked about a lot of things, and he described that it seems that arthritis is indeed creeping upon me. So there's that. He recommended I get another booster for the new variant of COVID, which I'll do. This would be my fourth. Other than that, it was only a half a day of work yesterday, so who knows what's in my inbox this morning. I guess that's part of the stress, right? I hate taking days off because then work has a way of piling up. I can handle that though. Here's this visualization. I always do. I got a lot done yesterday in a half a day. Including a status report that I've been meaning to do and had been falling behind on for a couple of months, actually. Just too busy with the day-to-day stuff, but I have to prioritize those status reports. All right. I feel like I've been just kind of meandering around this morning. I have a lot of different interesting thoughts to entertain. Let's take a sip and do the good life. One, first objective is to be always ready to die. To have my life affairs and my relationships and my life's work in good order. And they are. For the most part, I have several orders that I need to ship from my sales on my website of the book. Oh, I need to get those going. And I'll work on that this week. I sent messages to both of those people telling them that I would do that this week. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. Do not let my days waste by. 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's these 7 objectives and 33 principles, and I work on them every day. In fact, I've got 2 of them that are kind of in play right now. I'm tinkering a little bit with the horror show. More on that in a little bit. And as I said before, nothing is enough. Next. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions. Just to become someone who reacts well to circumstances like, I'm not feeling good right now, but I'm reacting well. I think you can see it in my eyes. I'm fatigued, tired, feeling old. Yesterday was a tough day. It's hard to carry on sometimes with this workaday life. I don't know why people live this way, including me. I guess it's what we have. This getting up, trudging through difficult jobs for so many hours of our lives. Seemingly so that we can keep the engine of the economy rolling by being consumers. It's funny how we slot ourselves into that space, huh? The next objective is to perform good actions, just to do good things. And then to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. And then to do just one thing at a time. And do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Those are my 7 objectives. Now my 33 principles. Number 1 is the principle of war, to always be fighting against any proposition of truth that I encounter or that I already hold. Number 2 is the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. These are the perspectives and the expectation that I hold. Perspective of honesty, being true, objectivity, looking at things squarely and from as many possible angles as possible, and doubt, exercising fierce skepticism of all things, and especially things that I already believe, and being ready to welcome the humiliation of discovering that I'm wrong, especially if it's in public. Such opportunity can build character and fortitude, and of course, is a celebration of being liberated, of being incorrect from something. Oh man, it's gotta thought. Well, I think it really comes through. Every now and then I'll see the thumbnails for these videos as I'm working on my YouTube, and sometimes my eyes are bright and alive. Sometimes they're dull and muddled and worn as they are this morning, and it reflects the inner man. But this will pass. You just have to have the fortitude to keep on. Okay, number 3 and 4 are the homunculus and the anchor hold. The homunculus is my reminder that I don't have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. And the anchor hold is my reminder that that soul is subject to death in this body. When this body gives out and dissolves away, rots or is burned up, whatever the case may be. My consciousness will wink out much sooner, as soon as the engine that keeps this, sustains me, stops. The heartbeat. Next comes the home of good and evil. Right and wrong do not seemingly exist in the universe on their own. They are ideas that we have, opinions of sentient creatures. Nothing more. They don't exist as absolutes. Except maybe anything that's related to procreation, which seems a necessity that all life must strive for a sense of being worthwhile in certain terms of being successfully getting our genes into the next generation. Okay, carry on, Kurt. Well, you can do this. Next comes the principle of purpose. And my 3 purpose are: 1, to be a good husband and father. I call that the sub-principle of biology. And then 2, to be a virtuous human being, selecting virtue as my main end, where virtue is defined as whatever I can do to improve the well-being of thinking creatures in particular. And then my last purpose is to continue to share the story and the message in my book, Going Alone, namely the Good Life Creed, which I'm doing right now. And I fulfill this purpose every day when I make this video. My life is done after this video is complete. Okay, now the principle of the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces. The principle of nature. Everything and everyone has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that is and operate accordingly. Then the pirate ride. Free will is not something, does not appear to be something real. We sure do feel like we're making choices, but we're really just aligning ourselves to the universe's average tendency, to borrow from Emerson. Okay. Next comes the principle of maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. And then the social principle. We are social creatures, we need each other, and our best ends are social ends. And then the principle of family, and the sub-principle of catalyst. Family is a very good and worthwhile end, or means as well, isn't it? Of course, there are a few better uses of our time than making an effort to make ourselves someone that can develop and sustain a family. So much comes of that, namely the fulfilling of our one seeming absolute mandate, which is to survive and to carry our genes into the next generation. But then there's so much more that comes with that. And having a family, having a partner and children catalyzes our will. Like, I'm having a rough morning this morning. I'm feeling just suddenly a little bit better in the last 30 seconds, but I don't know that I could do this if I wasn't a family man. I'd pack it up and go, go to the van life or something like that. But there's a great deal of good that can be done if I can carry on just for another couple of years, 3 years maybe, and help my daughter to get successfully through university without debt and on her own 2 feet in a career and home of her own here in the United States. And I do that. I sustain and make that happen by virtue of the fact that I elected the path of family. The path of family. What an interesting idea. And it catalyzes me. It catalyzes my effort, my will to be a good husband and father, employee, citizen, etc. To wear long sleeve shirts rather than board shorts all day long. There's nothing wrong with that, but having this type of job helps me to better fulfill my aims. If I didn't have this type of job, it would be hard to pay for Emily's college every semester, because I did save for her college, but I didn't do a great job of it. So you see where all this goes, right? It's good to have a family. A lot of good comes with that. The key is to just find somebody to spend our life with, to build that family with. Find someone who shares our core values. It's tricky to know what that is until we ourselves have identified what our core values are. So it's hard to know if that person subscribes to the same ideas. That's a better way to say it. And then personally abides it themselves. Okay, enough about that. The next principle is the principle of public speaking. A reminder to make an effort to become a better communicator by developing a good vocabulary and then using that vocabulary carefully. By exercising prudence in filtering my ideas through my values, and felicity in allowing my emotions to shine through as well. Because that's where the real connection comes, when people can see the real man or woman within through our communication. I guess that's what I would mean by felicity. I should look that word up and make sure I'm using it correctly. And that prudence and felicity are not synonyms. I don't think they are. You'd think I'd have this sorted out, but okay. Next is eloquence, which comes with practice, and then a reminder not to engage in gossip or to pass rumors. Next comes temperance, a reminder to control my consumption of all things, including my emotions. Like, I'm not feeling good right now, but I'm tempering my consumption of those emotions. I'm not spewing out my fatigue and upset. I'm not really so upset as just, I just don't want to do this day. I don't want to work. It's one of those days. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday already? Yeah. I want to go to the meetings I've got to go to. But I will, and I do. And I'll control my emotions, because that's what I do too. The other element of temperance is to control our physical consumption of things as well. To not be decadent or a slob. Or just engaging in excess of any sort. Okay. Spent a long time on that one. Okay, and the next one comes, life will not go well. Life is going to have hard stuff. Expect it. Yumiko and I were talking about yesterday, and she, as always, was so succinct and to the point in making her observations in her second language, no less. I really appreciate her wisdom. The next principle is called the horror show. And I've got a little anecdote. I encountered a little bit of the horror yesterday at the beach. As I was leaving, I found a seagull with a broken wing, bloodied and broken, like a dog had got to the bird, standing there all alone as the sun went down. And I didn't know what to do. I looked for a lifeguard, but there were no lifeguard trucks patrolling the beach that late at night, that late in the evening. And I stayed with the bird for a while, but I literally couldn't figure out what to do. I had no idea. I was on my motorcycle. I couldn't even catch it if I tried. And I don't know what to do with a broken bird. So I left feeling with a heavy heart and just kind of imagined that that's the way nature works, right? That the coyotes will come out last night, and as they do, and they patrol the beach, and they'll find it and dispatch the bird. And I should be grateful for the fact that predators can seek out the weak and the wounded. And there's a blessing in such dispatch that this would end with coyote. So, riding my motorcycle back to the house, my heart was heavy. I was thinking about that bird. And I came to a stop sign. And I stopped on my motorcycle and I looked over to the right, and right next to me was an animal safety officer who works for the city, or maybe it's the county. And we're sitting right there, parked in his truck with his windows up, doing paperwork. So I pulled the bike over to the side, parked it, walked back. He opened his window, he waved at me, a very friendly guy, and I told him about the situation, and he said that he could definitely help the bird. And he asked, I knew exactly where it was, between lifeguard towers 18 and 16. There is no 17. Closer to 18, just go down the steps from 17th Street. And he's got a four-wheel drive truck. He can actually go out there on the sand. And I said, you'll find the bird just within 100 feet of the tower. It's not going anywhere. It's certainly not flying anywhere. And he said he's going to go over there right away and find it. And he was very confident he could get exactly where I had mentioned. So I got back on the bike and went off. A very friendly guy. Just telling the story makes me feel a little bit better. Although I don't know what happened to the bird. I don't know if that means he's going to dispatch the bird, or if there's anything they can do to heal it, or I don't know. But anyway, it felt good knowing that somebody was on the case. And in the evening, I was walking the dogs with my wife, and we were talking about it. And I told her, I said, and she said, the coincidence was amazing about how I just stopped right there. And how often does that happen? And there's an animal control officer right there. And she said, does that make you believe in God? And I said, no, it doesn't, but it was interesting. I told her that when I was on the beach walking away, I said I could feel the pangs of longing, of wanting to believe in God, to say that it's in God's hands. Because the way I walked away as an atheist, with the great indifference hovering all around me, all around, everywhere, it feels like walking away from responsibility. Like, it feels painful, but I literally didn't know what to do. But yet, if I had believed in God, then I could say it's in God's hands. And I imagine that that's one of the reasons that's one of the real benefits of believing in God, is that so much of the horror of the hard stuff in life, and the horror show. That's what this principle is all about, the horror show, which is another principle just after life will not go well. The rough stuff, and then the horrifying stuff, like, broken bird on the beach. That becomes more bearable, if at least in some way, if we fantasize that someone's got that covered. That's, it's on God's watch. And of course, I don't have that, so I have to be with the responsibility, holding the bag of doing something about it, which I got lucky that I stumbled across somebody who knew what to do. Anyway, the horror show. coming to a life near you. Just a second, please. All right, boy, it feels like all of a sudden the coffee's starting to kick in. I can see it in my eyes, kind of coming back to life a little bit. Thank goodness. More coffee, please. Maybe that's what I'll do today. I'll just power myself with coffee all morning. Okay, so that was the horror show. Next comes, boy, I feel it. I'm suddenly feeling better. That which must be born. You have to carry the weight of the weight of the fact that life will not go well, and the weight of the horror show. And then the Feast of Woeful, which is what we do when we get upset and spew our upset on others. I used to do that. I don't do it really anymore. Thank goodness. It's a hard work, right? To stop doing that. To stop spreading my upset on to those I love. Well, I don't get upset the way I used to. Don't have so much reason anymore. And my life objectives are largely complete. Now it's just kind of a coasting along a little bit through old age. Although my coasting looks more like full-blown running, I think, most of the time. All right, the next is, well, what is next? I feel like I'm starting to stray a little bit. See, in the book, there's the chapter called The Good Life, which categorically enumerates each of these principles and objectives. And I can always come to this and cheat a little bit because they're all listed. So what was next? Oh yeah, the restless man. Wait, no, that's too far forward. There it is. The principle of distraction. We keep ourselves busy with all kinds of stuff so that we don't have to see the emptiness of the universe and have to deal with the fact that we're on our own. There is no God. Agency and the great indifference. This principle suggests that the universe is without God. It's the apprehension that comes of going alone into a place like that by ourselves, without security, and facing down the emptiness of the universe. And then comes the best seat in the house, to be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. There's a quote here. I have learned in whatever state I am, therewith to be content. St. Paul. The book's chock full of relevant quotes. Now here comes 4 principles that go together. The restless man, which is kind of speaks to this anxiousness that we sometimes feel in our youth to have an adventure. The path of wildness is what we do that's another principle, when we step upon the road to said adventure. And then the great life adventure is what yields as a result of that effort. And then the risk of avoiding risk is what happens if we don't do anything about that. And then we have to deal with ourselves later in life, having not stepped upon the path, having not given ourselves a great life adventure. We can't get it back later. I'm sorry, it just can't be done. It's better to take that risk early in our life when we have everything to lose and all the time in the world, seemingly, to recover. Just can't do it when you're old. Sin and damnation, that's next. And the sub-principles here are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and gossip. Rumor and gossip. Engaging in any of those things means that we're being untrue, being a liar, or being untrue to ourselves, believing things without good reason, or a damned rumor-mongering gossip. All of the same. Next comes complete oblivion. After we're dead, if there is no God, no soul, no heaven, no hell, then it's the end of us. We'll never see our loved ones again. We'll never have a chance to reconcile any differences, and we'll never see final justice. So better work on making the better life now. Then comes the season of philosophy, which is a time to record our thoughts as we go along the way. My young nephew Parker is having little touches of his own season of philosophy at the dawning age of 12. Good job, Parker. The young man is a poet no less. Keep at it. But mainly strike when the iron is hot, because the heat tends to dissipate away and you're left with a clod of unshaped iron that you can't do anything with once it's cold. I like that. That's a good way to think about it. The bullseye aim is another principle, suggesting to aim to the mark, but we miss a little bit, to be expected. Like, I wanted to get my status reports out every day for the last 2 months, but I only did it last one at the end of September, and then one yesterday. That's a big miss on the bull. That's like totally missing the target altogether. And then the uphill climb, reminder to keep pressing higher today. I'm higher than I was yesterday, and I'll do that even after I retire. The sub-principle here is the open ocean swim. I used to do that. I used to swim in deep water. Just power through the waves. Just keep at it. Maybe I don't need that there. But it kind of fits in with the writing here. There's some writing here that I think refers to that. Then the principle called arena and utility, keeping my objectives and principles handy to use in the course of my days, and I do. And then nothing is enough. The door is opening for this one. I think I'm going to find my way to begin using it. And I think it's appropriate that it's here second to last. Good placement, I think, if I do say so myself. A way to forecast the immediate moment. Like keeping just like my imagination right on the moment, just ahead, just coming. And forecasting how I can be all right with whatever does transpire. I don't expecting anything else to build up on top of it. I have here all it says for the subtitle there is not relying on things for our well-being. And then Dr. Johnson quotes says, frugality is not only the basis of quiet, but of beneficence. So this is that speaking towards the less, but I'm actually meaning more than that in this. But I'm only starting to dawn. It's almost like I had the placeholder, but I didn't know what to say behind it. But I'm starting to gain it. It's being all right with not expecting a particular course, a route, but to planning a course in the immediate moment, planning the immediate steps ahead, but then being all right if I stumble. Like if I'm hiking, seeing a little course up a river stream, planning my way up and stumble or have to go around. I'm not upset if that happens. It just happens. That's a good way to think about it. You know, I don't get upset. Like if I have like a 50-foot stretch of, river bottom to climb up, I kind of looking ahead, I kind of chart my way through some boulders over here and around a little bush over there. And if that doesn't work out and I have to go around over here and jump over the stream, I don't get upset. I just take the alternate course. Or if I stumble, I don't get upset that I stumbled. I may hurt a little bit, but I react to that. Why can't I do that with the everyday? Like today, I have a difficult meeting at 8 a.m. I already got it planned out. I've already taken the steps, but I can be all right with it if it doesn't go the steps. If I stumble a little bit and have to take a slightly different route. I think I'm onto something here, if I do say so myself. We're going to spend more time together. Nothing is enough. And this is what I'm doing right now is in deep satisfaction of objective number 3, which is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. Working hard at this stuff. Gosh, it's just 5:05 a.m. and I already feel like I've got a good day's work in. I'm taking the rest of the day off. I wish. Okay, the principle of fun, that's the last principle. A reminder to try to enjoy today. Even though it's a work day, I can enjoy today. I can have fun. Also enjoy the memory of yesterday. Like I had such a great meal with my wife yesterday. I had a nice time at the beach up until I found the broken seagull. And also I can plan for the fun days to come. What can I plan for later? Well, I can plan to have a nice walk with my wife with the dogs at noon. I can also plan to go to the beach after work. Plan to have a really nice dinner with Yumiko again. There'll be a Mike's Hard Lemonade waiting for me. All good stuff. Okay, I think I'm kind of recovering my senses from the fatigue that I felt the first part of this. Isn't this the way it always goes, right? The hard stuff pushed through. This is where the principle of family really comes in strong. And the benefit of catalyst, right? I mean, I wouldn't be making this video, I don't think. Well, this one's not driven on by family or work. It's driven on by habit and routine. But these good habits that I have are put into place by virtue of my responsibilities. Okay, I'll leave that there for today. Now let's plan for the coming 24 hours. I'm going to finish this. I'll upload this. I'll read the Bible. I'll take the dogs for a walk. I'll feed them first, then I'll walk the dog. Then I'll come back. I'll have the computer fired up by then, and then I will start my day in earnest. I'll catch up on my email. I've got a help session set up for the team, for the project team at 7:30 a.m. Then we have a challenging meeting at 8, and then we have another one after that. And then I think I have a day ahead of me of tasks and email and work. And I'm going to make it a good day. I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to enjoy the day. And I work to be more in the moment of now, to plotting my immediate path forward, and to be all right if I stumble or have to take a different way. I'm working hard, not stopping. And I'm going to try to live less in the dream of retirement, because I know that I should know better now that there is no escape. Life will not go well in any circumstance, and there is the horror show. I mean, I can find the peace of less work or no work, but much better if I can learn to find that peace in the fray, like Juan does. He's a good role model, that man. I really should go out and have lunch with him again. Maybe take Parker with me and have lunch with Parker too, and Juan, and take Parker to the bookstore. He'd like that. Okay, I'll stop for now. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done. Take care.